Coach, we spoke to Torrey after shoot around. He felt pretty good. Is he going to be able to go for you tonight?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Curious in terms of Dallas. We talked about Finney Smith, but Brunson as well, and how he's got it going. What's maybe the challenge that he's presenting now that he didn't say in the first couple of games?
I mean, I think he's playing the same way. He's just made more shots. Some of his shots have been contested shots. Some have just been difficult. He just made them. He's had a few that have bounced on the rim, 2 or 3 times, and they fall in. I don't think he's changed much. He's just made more shots. We have to do a much better job of containing his first thrust, especially when he goes left. He's a pretty effective player either way, but going left, that's his thing. He's got really good footwork too. Once you stop him, he can pivot and change direction.
Just my only follow is just following up on that point. When you're going through, now you've seen them 4 times in a row. How much is it the film study now, like tendencies and what they do in terms of how they go about their play?
Yeah, I mean, it's most of the playoffs, but certainly once you get into the latter games, a lot of it is KYP, knowing your personnel. But then it's the other stuff, turnovers and offensive rebounds. That's where we've got to really lock in and do a much better job.
Monty, to that point, you guys have taken care of the ball well all year. Turnover numbers have been really unlike you guys. Is there anything specifically you attribute it to the last 3 games?
I mean, if you look at last game, I think we tallied like 6 offensive fouls, 2-3 seconds. Like those are things that you can control for sure. We don't want our guys playing passive and not making plays from a pass perspective, but the offensive fouling was odd. And then we just had 3-second calls that spoke to not being aware of where you are, cleansing yourself and getting outside the paint.
Coach, the Mavs are obviously a team that's been getting up a lot of threes all year long, but when you look at the numbers and they're averaging 14 more attempts per game than you, is that something that you look at that and kind of want to increase your own numbers, or is it the mid-range shots just haven't been falling to the degree they normally do?
I mean, I think we can do some things to get more threes. We're not like in that 40 range where some teams are, but we've been pretty efficient with our threes because we've gotten a high shot quality. And then from their perspective, or guarding them, like there's some things that we have to do personally, just KYP, like understanding who's the hot shooter and closing out to feet and not to space without fouling. But yeah, we'd love to get more threes, but I don't want to just jack up threes just to do it. We've been pretty good as far as balance. For us, when we can get stops, it allows for us to play in transition and get the 2s and 3s. But then when you turn the ball over, it takes those numbers down even more because you're giving up, 17 possessions, and that's, you do the numbers. They've been a plus in the possession game the last couple.
Hey, Monty, when you look at making adjustments throughout the series, how do you prevent from over scheming or doing too many things that confuse your own guys?
We try to fight that. We've actually tried to scale back the adjustment piece just because sometimes simplicity is better, at least to start. And, that's something that's been on my mind since I got on the plane and left Dallas. How do we make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do before we change and adjust? Because throughout the game, you're going to make adjustments, but we're thinking more foundational defensive concepts. And then, don't turn the ball over, stuff like that. So to your point, we do fight that urge to adjust too much.
Monty, going back to last summer, I think this is the 4th time out of 6 playoff series you've been home for Game 5 with the series tied 2-2. Do you get used to what from the outside can feel like kind of a tense situation?
I have my own tenseness, my own personal angst. It's just natural. I don't listen to anything outside of our locker room just because I don't need it. I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way. It's just not my thing. I'm a fan of basketball, so I can imagine what everybody's feeling like. So I don't need to read it every day or get on one of these platforms and inundate my mind with all that. But I have my own. And I think that's just a natural part of being in the playoffs. Every game, there's nerves and angst and pressure. It's something we all sleep with. You know, we love to go 4-0 and win by 20 every game. That it's just not real. You know what I mean? If you're not, in my opinion, in the mindset of accepting that, then you're probably going to struggle. It's just a part of the deal.
Monty, to that end, how different do you feel about your team coming into this game versus how you felt about them coming into the New Orleans game in Game 5 after losing Game 4 and getting beat up pretty good in that game too?
I mean, they're all different. I don't think you think about it a little bit. You can compare and say, okay, we're 2-2, but you have to handle your business. You know what I mean? I think if you just automatically think, okay, we've been here, you can't do that. And so I think every game, every series has a life of its own, but there are some comparisons and you can draw from that experience. The bottom line is every game is unbelievably important. And as the games go forward, they just become, exponentially more important. So that's the mindset. You just, you understand that and you have to embrace it no matter what the series is.
Do you have a certain read on your team? You talk how you don't worry about the platforms, but you worry about what you're thinking. What are you thinking the same things about your team coming into tonight that you did coming into the New Orleans Game 5?
I don't know. I haven't. It's hard to compare. We turned the page from that series. So it's hard to even, I don't know. I mean, you don't know me that well, but I'm not that bright to go back and remember all that. I just know that our guys have a healthy respect for Dallas. We did, but after you lose 2 the way that we did, there's a heightened respect and more of an appropriate fear. And I think that makes us, in my mind, that's when we're really good. Thank you.